I used to believe my marriage was unbreakable. I was wrong. 21 years. That's how long Sophia and I had been married. 21 years of Saturday morning coffee on the porch, watching the sun paint our suburban street gold. 21 years of anniversary dinners at Romano's, where Giuseppe still remembered our first date. 21 years that our friends called relationship goals at every gathering, holding us up as proof that real love still existed. I'm Daniel Reed, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Logistics manager at Branson. Industries, pulling 60-hour weeks but proud of the stability I provided. The 4-bedroom colonial we'd bought 15 years ago paid down to half its mortgage. The knowledge that when I came home exhausted from untangling supply chain disasters, Sophia would be there with her warm smile and that way she had of making everything feel manageable. She worked at Meridian Marketing, a mid-sized firm downtown. Matthew Reynolds ran her department, a smooth-talking executive who Sophia described as supportive and understanding. She'd mention how Matthew encouraged her ideas, unlike my rigid thinking about schedules and plans. I never thought much of it. Why would I? This was Sophia. My Sophia. Our last vacation haunts me now. 2 weeks in Costa Rica 3 months ago. She'd seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly, claiming urgent client emails. Matthew needs this campaign perfect, she'd said, typing furiously by the pool. I'd kissed her forehead and told her to relax. That work would survive without her. She'd given me this strange look, almost pitying, before returning to her screen. That Saturday afternoon started like hundreds before it. Sophia was at her sister's baby shower. I was catching up on yard work, fighting the spring weeds that threatened our flower beds. The headache came suddenly, sharp enough that I needed aspirin immediately. Sophia's purse sat on the kitchen counter, where she'd forgotten it. Designer leather she'd bought herself for Christmas. I reached inside for the small pill bottle she always carried. My fingers found it, along with something else. Something that shouldn't have been there. A fresh pack of condoms. The receipt was still attached, purchased 3 days ago. We hadn't used condoms in 15 years. Not since her IUD. I stood there, holding that package, my hands trembling, knowing that everything I believed about my life was about to change forever. The condoms burned in my pocket for 3 days. Every conversation with Sophia became a minefield of hidden meanings. Every smile felt rehearsed. Every touch made my skin crawl with questions I couldn't ask. "You're quiet lately," she mentioned. Tuesday morning, applying lipstick in our bathroom mirror. New lipstick. When had she started wearing that shade? "Just work stress," I managed, watching her reflection. "Big shipment problems from the Seattle warehouse." She nodded absently, adjusting her dress. Another new purchase I hadn't noticed before. "I'll be late tonight. Matthew has us all staying. For the Henderson presentation prep," she added casually. Matthew. The name sat in my mouth like poison. That evening, I did something I'd never imagined. I became an investigator in my own marriage. Credit card statements revealed charges I didn't recognize. The Riverside Hotel downtown, $47 for lunch on a day she'd claimed to be eating salads at her desk. Nordstrom purchases far exceeding what appeared in our closet. Restaurant receipts for 2 at places I'd never heard of. The evidence accumulated, like snow before an avalanche. Late nights that didn't align with her department's actual meetings. The gym membership she'd started but never seemed to use, though she left the house in workout clothes twice a week. Her phone, suddenly password protected and always face down during meals. Thursday night, she came home glowing. Actually glowing. With this energy I hadn't seen in years. She kissed me. Really kissed me, and suggested we open a bottle of wine. As she laughed at some story from her day, gesturing with her glass, I realized I was looking at a stranger wearing my wife's face. The next morning, I called Tom, a lawyer friend from my golf club. "I need a private investigator," I said without preamble. "Someone discreet, someone good." Tom's pause told me he understood. "Jack Thompson. No relation despite the name. He's handled several situations for my clients. I'll text you his number," he replied carefully. Jack Thompson answered on the second ring. His voice was gravelly, matter-of-fact. "Mr. Reed, I know this is difficult. I'll need some basic information to start surveillance," he said. I gave him everything: her schedule, Matthew Reynolds' name, the hotel charges. Each detail felt like another nail in my marriage's coffin. "Give me 2 weeks," Jack said. "I'll document everything. Photos, times, locations. Whatever's happening, you'll have proof." Those 2 weeks stretched like torture. I became an actor in my own home, playing the role of oblivious husband while memorizing every lie she told. She worked late Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. She had client dinners Tuesday and Friday. She went to yoga Saturday mornings, all lies, every single one. When Jack Thompson finally called, his words were careful but direct. "I have everything you need, but you're not going to like what you see," he warned. When Jack handed me that manila envelope, I knew that opening it would end my marriage, but I had to know the truth. The photos spread across Jack Thompson's desk like crime scene evidence. My wife entering the Riverside Hotel with Matthew Reynolds, his hand on her lower back. The two of them at Café Lumière, leaning across the table, fingers intertwined. Matthew leaving my house, my own house, at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday when I was at work. 8 months, Jack said quietly. Based on the patterns, this has been going on for at least 8 months. 8 months of Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at the Riverside. 8 months of lunch meetings that were intimate meals at upscale restaurants. 8 months of them in my bed while I worked overtime to pay for the life she was sharing with another man. The worst photo showed them on my porch, kissing like teenagers while I was traveling to Detroit for a supply chain conference last month. She told me she missed me that night, sent me heart emojis. Matthew Reynolds is married, Jack continued, sliding another folder forward. Wife's name is Linda. 2 kids, 17 and 14. He's got as much to lose as you do. I studied Matthew's information with the detachment of planning a military operation. Senior Vice President at Meridian Marketing, 6-figure salary, house in Westfield worth twice mine, country club membership, the perfect suburban success story built on lies. "What's your next move?" Jack asked. "I need a lawyer first," I answered. Rebecca came highly recommended, a specialist in high-asset divorces who'd earned her reputation destroying cheating spouses in court. Her office radiated power, floor-to-ceiling windows, leather and mahogany, photos with state senators. "The prenup you signed is your best friend right now," she said, reviewing our documents. "Adultery clause is clear. She forfeits claim to the house and half the joint assets. With this evidence, she won't get a penny beyond her own 401k and personal property." "What about timing?" I asked. "Don't tip your hand. Let them think they're safe. Document everything. The more evidence we have, the less room she has to maneuver," Rebecca advised. Her smile was sharp. "I've seen her type before. They always think they're smarter than they are. I spent the next week preparing with methodical precision. Copied every photo, every receipt, every piece of evidence into multiple sets. Researched Linda through social media, a real estate agent with her own successful agency, active in school committees, proud mother posting about her kids' achievements. While her husband screwed my wife, the employee handbook for Meridian Marketing sat on my desk, highlighted and annotated. Section 7.3. Romantic or sexual relationships between supervisors and subordinates are strictly prohibited and will result in immediate termination. Both signatures at the bottom, Matthew Reynolds and Sophia Reed. I opened new bank accounts, in my name only, ready to transfer funds the moment I pulled the trigger. Changed the beneficiaries on my life insurance. Consulted with a locksmith about emergency lock changes. Every detail planned, every contingency covered. At home, I became the perfect husband. Asked about Sophia's stressful projects with concern. Rubbed her shoulders when she complained about long days. Even suggested she take a spa day to relax, watching her lie about going with her sister when I knew she'd spend it with Matthew. Saturday morning, she made French toast, my favorite, humming in the kitchen like a woman without guilt. "You've Been so understanding about my crazy schedule, she said, kissing my cheek. Matthew says the big project will wrap up soon. Take all the time you need, I replied, meaning it. Every lie she told was another nail in her coffin. Jack Thompson's call came Tuesday afternoon. They're at your house right now. Do you want to catch them in the act? He asked urgently. I told my supervisor I had a family emergency and left work immediately. Time to end this charade forever. The 15-minute drive home stretched into eternity. Every red light gave me time to think about what I was about to do. 21 years of marriage about to end in 15 minutes of destruction. My hands were steady on the wheel, had been, since I'd made my decision. I stopped at Wells Fargo first, withdrawing copies of evidence from my safe deposit box. Then a quick detour to my trunk where I'd kept my father's Louisville Slugger for the past week. Not for violence. I wasn't that man. But as a reminder of the lessons he'd taught me about standing up for yourself. About never letting anyone make you small in your own home. Matthew's Mercedes sat in my driveway like a declaration of war. The same car he'd parked there dozens of times while I earned the money that paid for the house he was defiling. I photographed it from 3 angles, checking the timestamp. 2:33 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, right on schedule. The front door opened silently. I'd oiled the hinges Sunday night while Sophia slept. Their voices drifted down from upstairs. Her laugh, the one I used to love, mixed with his deeper chuckle. The sound of my bedroom door ajar, the bed creaking in a rhythm that made my stomach turn. But I didn't rush. Rush implied emotion, and I was beyond that now. I set evidence packets on the kitchen counter, the dining room table, the living room coffee table, placed my phone on the hallway table, video recording. Retrieved the baseball bat from the porch, feeling its familiar weight. Every step calculated, every action deliberate. The stairs didn't creak. I knew which ones to avoid after 2 decades of late-night trips to the kitchen. Their voices grew clearer. Matthew saying something about, "When I leave Linda." Sophia responding. With Daniel so predictable he'd never suspect. My name in their mouths while they lay in my bed. The contempt in her voice when she said predictable. I stood outside my bedroom door for 60 seconds, counting each one. This was it. The moment that would divide my life into before and after. Inside that room was evidence of the greatest betrayal I'd ever experienced, but also my liberation. The door swung open. They didn't notice at first, too wrapped up in each other to hear the hinges. Matthew saw me first, his eyes going wide, scrambling for the sheets. Sophia turned, and for one beautiful moment, I saw real fear in her eyes. Then, it transformed into something else, contempt, amusement. She actually smirked. "Well," she said, pulling the sheet up with casual arrogance, "I guess the cat's out of the bag." Matthew tried to stand, reaching for his pants. "Daniel, listen, this isn't—" he started frantically. "Sit down, Matthew," I commanded. My voice came out steady, controlled. He sat. Sophia laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, come on, Daniel, don't be dramatic. We're all adults here," she said dismissively. She tilted her head, studying me. "You can either accept this arrangement or I'll destroy you in divorce court. I'll take the house, half your pension, everything. You know I will," she threatened. Matthew found his confidence again, probably encouraged by her casual cruelty. "She's too much woman for you anyway, Dan. Maybe this is better for everyone," he added with a smirk. They both smiled. Smiled at me in my own bedroom, in my own bed, like I was the punchline to their private joke. I pulled the first evidence packet from behind my back and tossed it on the bed between them. "Actually," I said quietly, "I have a different arrangement in mind." Their laughter died when they saw the photos, but they had no idea this was just the beginning. The photos scattered across the rumpled sheets, them entering hotels, kissing in restaurants, Matthew leaving my house. Sophia's smirk evaporated as she recognized the Tuesday afternoon timestamp on her car in our driveway, while Matthew's Mercedes sat beside it. "You hired someone to follow me?" she demanded, her voice pitching higher with indignation replacing arrogance. 8 months, Sophia. You've been bringing him into our bed for 8 months, I stated flatly. Matthew lunged for his clothes, trying to dress while backing toward the door. I'm leaving. This is between you two, he said desperately. No, I interrupted, stepping aside but holding the baseball bat loose in my hand. You're going to sit there and listen. You can't keep me. Here, he protested. Section 7.3 of Meridian Marketing's Employee Handbook, I said conversationally. Romantic relationships between supervisors and subordinates are strictly prohibited. I have copies for HR plus these photos plus hotel receipts you expensed. To the company. His face went white. You wouldn't, he stammered. The packet will be delivered within the hour, I informed him. Sophia tried tears next, her manipulation playbook opening to Chapter 2. Daniel, please, we can work through this. It was a mistake. I love you, she pleaded. The prenup you signed specifically addresses adultery. You forfeit the house and half the marital assets. Rebecca has already prepared the paperwork. I cut her off. Rebecca? She gasped, the tears stopping instantly. She knew that name. Everyone in our social circle did. You can't afford her, she accused. Actually, she took the case at a discount. Apparently, she really enjoys destroying cheaters who mock their spouses, I replied. Matthew made another move for the door. This time, I let him reach the hallway before catching his shoulder. He swung wildly, a soft man's punch from someone who'd never been in a real fight. I dropped him with 2 precise hits, solar plexus, then jaw, not enough to cause real damage, but sufficient to send him stumbling down the stairs, gasping. Your wife, Linda, will have her packet within the hour, I called after him. Drive safe, Matthew. The front door slammed. His Mercedes peeled out of my driveway for the last time. Sophia had used my distraction to start dressing, frantically pulling on clothes. You're making a mistake, she hissed. I'll tell everyone you're abusive. I'll say you hit me too, she threatened. Everything's on video, including Matthew attacking me first, I said, holding up my phone. You have 1 hour to pack what you can carry. The locks change at 5. You can't just throw me out. I have rights, she screamed. You had rights. You forfeited them 8 months ago, I responded coldly. I pulled out another packet. Copies of everything have already gone to your parents, your sister, and our mutual friends, with a cover letter explaining why you're no longer welcome in this house. Her face cycled through rage, desperation, bargaining, and finally spite. You think you're some kind of hero? You're pathetic, Daniel. I needed a real man. She spat. And, you chose Matthew Reynolds? I laughed, genuinely laughed. A man who cheats on his wife and children? Who runs away the moment things get difficult? That's your definition of a real man? I asked. She threw things into suitcases with violent efficiency, muttering threats about lawyers, about social humiliation, about how I'd regret this. I followed at a distance, ensuring she only took her belongings. At 4:47, she stood at the front, door with 3 suitcases and tears that might have been real. 21 years, Daniel. Doesn't that mean anything? She asked softly. It meant everything to me. That's why this betrayal is unforgivable, I answered. You'll never find anyone who loved you like I did, she said, trying one last manipulation. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd shared my bed while planning afternoons with another man, who'd laughed at my predictability while spending my money, who'd just tried to manipulate me with tears, threats, and finally, false nostalgia. You never loved me, Sophia. You loved what I provided while you shopped for something better, I replied with finality. She left without another word. I watched her struggle to fit the suitcases into her car, refusing to help. The locksmith arrived as her taillights disappeared. By evening, Matthew and Sophia had both been terminated from Meridian Marketing. Linda Thompson had called me, crying, thanking me for the truth. My phone buzzed with messages from friends who'd received my packets, some supportive, others shocked. I sat in my empty house, in the silence I'd earned, and felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. Justice, I learned, isn't just about punishment. It's about watching the guilty face the consequences of their choices. 6 months later, I barely recognized the man who discovered those condoms in his wife's purse. That man was soft, trusting, predictable. The man I am now understands the difference between kindness and weakness, between forgiveness and enabling. Sophia moved back to Oregon to live with her parents. The last I heard through mutual friends, she was working part-time at a local marketing firm, making a third of her previous salary. Her reputation in our industry is radioactive. Nobody wants to hire someone who screwed their boss and got caught. She tried contacting me once, 3 months ago, with a long email about forgiveness and second chances. I deleted it unread. Matthew Reynolds' fall was even more complete. Linda took him for everything in the divorce. The house, half his retirement, substantial alimony. His teenage kids won't speak to him. He works at a small firm in Connecticut now, commuting 3 hours daily because he can't afford rent closer to work. Someone sent me his LinkedIn profile where he describes himself as a seasoned marketing professional seeking new opportunities. The recommendations section is tellingly empty. Linda Thompson and I had coffee last month. Not romantic, just two. People who'd been betrayed by the same affair, comparing notes and finding closure. She told me Matthew had tried to blame me for ruining his life. We laughed about that. I didn't ruin anything. I just revealed the truth. My house feels different now. Bigger, certainly, but also cleaner somehow. I replaced the bedroom furniture, painted the walls, made it mine instead of ours. Saturday mornings, I still drink. Coffee on the porch, but now I read books I'd always wanted to explore. I joined a hiking club, started learning Spanish, took up woodworking in the garage. Things Sophia had called boring or pointless. I'm dating again, cautiously. Her name is Elena, a divorced accountant who understands the value of honesty. We're taking things slow, both of us carrying scars but not letting them define us. She knows my story, has seen the photos I kept as reminders. Most people would have just accepted it or exploded, she told me once. You got justice, some mutual. Friends initially criticized my vindictiveness, saying I should have handled things privately, but the evidence was too compelling, the betrayal too complete. Those who matter understood. Those who didn't weren't friends worth keeping. Tom invited me to golf last week. You look good, Dan. Lighter somehow, he observed. Amazing what happens when you remove 120 pounds of dead weight from your life, I replied. Sophia? He asked with a knowing smile. And all the bullshit that came with her, I confirmed. The man I was before would have forgiven her, tried counseling, accepted partial. Blame for driving her away, that man would have been weak. The man I am now knows that some betrayals are unforgivable. Some lines cannot be uncrossed, and some people deserve the full weight of consequences. My father's baseball bat sits in my office now, mounted on the wall. Not as a threat, but as a reminder that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even when it means destroying everything you thought you had to build something better. I sleep better now than I have in years, knowing that liars face the truth and cheaters pay the price. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.